In 2013, my friend Phil and myself were hiking the trail around the Rocky Mountains. The weather had been decent and sunny until we were high up the trail. A sudden blizzard had come in seemingly out of nowhere. It became near whiteout conditions, and we could only see a few feet in front of us, and the trail and the edge of the trail were near difficult to see. We knew it had become too dangerous to try and keep going. Unable to see, we felt we were stuck on the mountain in that blizzard. We were about to give up and sit with our backs against the rocks with the snow blowing into us from every direction to wait out the blizzard. We had nothing but our windbreakers and whatever items were in our backpacks to try and keep us warm and safe. Suddenly I saw what looked to be a tall and large man wearing a fur outfit. He was taller than either of us, me being 6 foot and Phil 6'6". He just stood where we could see him. We stood up to go try and go talk to him when he turned and began walking away. When we didn't follow, he stopped and turned to us as if frantic. Without a second thought, we began to follow him. He kept himself a good distance ahead of us so that we could see where he was but not see him. It was hard to keep up because he took such long strides with his long legs. Every so often he would stop to look back at us and make sure we were following him. It sounded as if he was growling if it weren't staying close to the side of the trail he was walking on. Once we were nearing the bottom of the trail, the blizzard was still going, but the whiteout conditions were not as bad. We realized that the man we had been following was not wearing an all-fur outfit. The fur was in fact on his body. We also saw the footprints leading down, and they were bigger than any we had ever seen. When we looked back to where he was walking towards a heavily treed area that wasn't far away from the trail. The way he walked with his arms swinging at his side as if it kept his balance. When he discovered that we were still watching him, he picked up a large log or branch that was close to him and hurled it in our direction, causing us to run away. When we looked back, he was gone. We knew then it was Bigfoot who had led us down the trail and out of the blizzard. As we made our way back to the truck, the park ranger pulled up to yell at us to hurry up and get out of the park due to the blizzard. We told him what we had seen coming down from the trail. He was a Native American and smiled when we told him. He said, "The Sasquatch wished not to see men perish on their mountain home. You're both lucky he knew you meant no harm to him or his home." Neither of us could, nor have we forgotten that our lives were saved by Bigfoot. Hey everyone, it's Sherry with Squatchable. Today is going to be an encounter video day, but I'm not going to put my face on the screen because I just got back from camping. My sunscreen failed me. You guys don't want to see the talking lobster. So we'll just jump into this without my face here. This encounter that I'm going to talk about was shared with us by a gentleman named Chad. His encounter happened to him in the Rocky Mountains in Colorado. He had his friend with him, and they were around Hallett Peak, which is between Grand Lake down here and Estes Park up here. Now, the Rocky Mountains, when a lot of people hear it, they don't realize the scope of these. The Rocky Mountains are 3,000 miles long, and they extend from New Mexico to the northern region of British Columbia. That's huge. So generally when people talk about places in the Rocky Mountains, they tend to refer to the sub-ranges and kind of leave the Rocky Mountain part, I guess, more for Colorado. At least that's what it appears like to me, how people refer to it. For California, Oregon, and Washington, when we talk about our mountains, we say the Sierra Nevadas for the whole dang state. We don't really separate it. Some people do, but for the most part, we just say, oh, we went to the Sierras. Well, for the Rocky Mountains, if you listen to Kelly Shaw with the RMSO, you'll hear him refer to the Uinta Range, the Sawtooth, the Wasatch. Those are all part of the Rocky Mountains, and those are just the sub-ranges. So just kind of giving you a little bit of history of how big the Rocky Mountains are, the fact that you may have heard lots of Bigfoot stories in the Rocky Mountains, but not actually have known that it is the Rocky Mountains. It's because we usually use the sub-ranges as the names on there, and it's pretty common to use sub-ranges too over in the Appalachian Mountains, like the Blue Ridge Mountains, the Smokies, and stuff like that. When we refer to those, it's all part of the same mountain range, it's just little different parts of it. Now, in this report, he mentions an extreme weather event, a blizzard, and unfortunately I could not confirm the exact event, but there are indicators that such an event could have occurred. The weather data, when you're looking for the Rocky Mountain National Park, generally pulls from the Broomfield Jeffco, which is likely the Rocky Mountain Metro Airport. That's at an elevation of 5,669 feet. And the alternative location that people will use for Hallett's Peak for its weather data is Grand Lake, and their elevation is 8,369 feet. Now, Hallett Peak, where you go hiking up around there at the top, is 12,718 feet elevation. And this encounter occurred in August. While looking at the historical data for Grand Lake, you can see right here in August, that's their highest precipitation month, and they're already coming down off of their peak monthly high. And that all can really lend a hand to the fact that snow could have fallen up at Hallett's Peak in a heavy amount during this time period. Now, this is also the historical data for the month of August for Grand Lake. And looking at the temperatures that they have, it is well within the range that if you do the mathematical equation of, minusing 3.5 degrees by every 1,000 feet elevation gain, that snow could have fallen up there. Now, looking at these days for Grand Lake, Colorado, you have several days that are falling quite low for the peak maximum high, and that's only a small portion of the day when it hits that temperature. If you look at the lows, you're already near freezing at the low parts of the day. Right here, you're at 32 degrees. That's right there, freezing. Now, another thing to remember is that Colorado has low humidity, the Rocky Mountains are high. That combination there can actually lead to snowfall falling at temperatures as high as 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So there's nothing about the whole, there was a blizzard up there that concerns me about his story. It is very possible, looking at the data of this much lower elevation location that's nearby to Hallett's Peak. Another thing too is generally when people refer to blizzard, it's quite different than the term that people use for the scientific term for blizzard. Scientifically, a blizzard has a certain wind speed and all that other good stuff. But for most people, when they're speaking colloquially about it, they say, hey, it was a blizzard, when in actuality, the scientists would just call it a snowstorm. So a snowstorm at this elevation during the month of August, considering the weather that's there, the fact that it's in a high elevation, low humidity, it's very possible that snow was falling up there, and it could have been a blowing snow, which would seem like a blizzard to any regular person. And also, it's up in higher mountain elevations. The weather's just crazy up there. So I kind of want to give all those little bit of explanations here because I know a lot of people here in the US, they'd be like, oh, they're saying there's a blizzard in August and they couldn't see things. It actually is in the realm of possibility. Add into that this particular mountain actually has a glacier, the Tyndall Glacier, Hallett Peak right there, Tyndall Glacier right there. Sorry, I cannot pronounce the word glacier properly when I'm talking fast. So this area is obviously cold enough pretty much all the time to be able to maintain a glacier up there. So don't worry too much about the August snowfall thing. This is a unique location. You don't have people really living up on top of this mountain. It's not like he's down in the valley and it's all nice and warm and toasty and he's saying it snowed in August. He was in an extreme elevation where extreme weather happens. There's a glacier because it's cold enough to keep it there. And the temperature in local cities, both from both sides, from both Estes Park and Grand Lake, when you do the calculation, it was within the right temperature range for a snowfall to occur. Oh, and I almost forgot. In regards to this particular area too, shortly after August, just 1 week after it, Colorado started having major rainstorms happening, and eventually they started having flooding in these areas along the Rocky Mountains in Colorado. So They did have some strange weather that moved in shortly after this gentleman's occurrence happened up in the mountains. I'm going to go ahead and leave this one here, and thank you again, Chad, for sharing your encounter with us and for letting us share it with everyone else. And if you have an encounter that you want to share with everyone, certainly go ahead and send us a message on Facebook, or go ahead and send us an email at bigfootevidence@gmail.com. Either way works, but I'd love to hear what kind of things you guys have had happening out there.